Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Shonen Jump Review. As a reminder of my format, I will give a quick overview of the chapters that I read, I'll give some of my thoughts about the chapters, and then at the end, I will rank all of the chapters that I have read as if I am turning in the surveys. I don't cover all of the series in Weekly Shonen Jump as I've already dropped some of them, but there will be spoilers for most of the Shonen Jump titles, so you have been warned. The Knight's plan is to kidnap 10 giant children to use as hostages and leverage for the giants to become battle slaves for the world government. Mr. Ya, Zoro, Hyrudine, and the other giant pirates have made it up from the underworld and see the chaos of the overworld. The gang splits up to try to rescue the kids and control Dory and Bragi respectively. Jarul decides to break his silence and reveal Loki's innocence to the nation as the attack is taking place. He then also declares that the giants will officially be enemies of the world government regardless of what happens, and Zoro has caught up to the devils with Hyrudine and co, saying that he has a plan. You know, I didn't know what to think about this guy with a sword sticking out of his head. I thought it was kind of stupid and had something to do with amnesia, but no, it's just he's a bad, bad man who I now love. Screw the world government, and I really hope that they get what's coming to them. Great chapter this week. Chihiro's heart is being repaired by Sumura's life flames. Additionally, the flames are also working to undo the malediction that the Shinichi cast. Then they turn their powers against each other, which cancel each other out, and it becomes a pure sword fight between the two of them. The chapter ends with them clashing and Chihiro watching to take to his next fight as it's, Sumura's gonna die. Another incredible chapter from Kagurabachi. The art and action again is hitting heights that is rarely been seen in this manga. Chihiro will need some sort of power-up to deal with this, especially since the guy who's been doing all this is not actually the real guy. He's just like a body that's manifesting, I think. I don't think they've switched out to this point. Maybe they have. Maybe I missed that. But anyway. This definitely has become similar to the Pain arc in Naruto, where no one actually died because at the end they all just got revived, or in this case saved, except for Sumura. He's dead. Kane has, according to Shomei, grasped the god of death and has one final day of training to be done. Before then, though, she is going out on the town with her fellow trainee to enjoy the sights. They do that, and they see a poster to Kaisai's one-man show. Akane shares a little about what she learned, and she thinks what her strategy might be. There's hints that there's an even higher level that she can attain in her Rakugo, and they go to see the performance of another Shinichi that is nearby, that we also haven't seen to this point. I liked this dive into Akane's thought process here. Funnily enough, we don't always get that, so it's nice to see what her thought process is like and sort of the things that are going through her mind. I'm wondering how Akane can take her powers to an even higher place than she is right now. Because the last couple performances that she's put on, it's been clear that she's really starting to delve into the deeper depths of her powers, so I'm wondering how they're going to bring that even further. Another great chapter. We have a beautiful chapter of Minerva and Chrono's backstory, which is adorable. The whole thing, whole way through, is adorable. We see that Chrono is going absolute god mode at the end to make it so that Minerva isn't actually stabbed through the back because he loves her so much, and it was a beautiful chapter. The backstory was very, very adorable. I loved seeing the way that Minerva came into Chrono's world and how Minerva has been interacting with him since the start. She's a little cinnamon bun and just the best. I love them both, and I need to see them happy, and I don't need you to destroy yourself, Chrono, to save her, to make this happen. Just live. Just please, just live. It was great. Great chapter. I wonder if he will reveal to Minerva what his trial is so that she can win his trial and thus make it so he'll never disappear and will be inside of her always. I think that's probably how they're going to end it. Nagumo is having a rip-roaring fight with Mr. Oki, and they start getting flung all over the city. they crash onto a booze cruise, and Nagumo pours one of the guys a drink while Mr. Oki takes a swig from the bottle that he just cut in half. They chat a bit before the boat that they are on smashes into a casino at the end of the chapter. Also, the background people on the boat mysteriously vanish in the meantime. The action was good, and everything that happened on the boat was genuinely hilarious. Another good chapter from Sakamoto Days, returning to the over-the-top action that I just love about this series. Keigo and Chami are having a bad time with a guy who is definitely not a warlock, and Chami is understandably panicking a bit because she is a literal child. We then get to see Kan and Momochi's team in the bar, and there is some wacky hijinks of them getting to the safe spot where Momochi is just too thick to hide correctly. We also learn that each team has mints that are infused with some of Nico's spells, which have been divided between the teams, and each of the Chami and Kan Momochi groups have decided to use their mints. I totally foresee that the mints here are not going to be what is expected, or that they have been unceremoniously swapped between the groups. That seems about right for this series and how it's been pretty much the whole way through. That being said, I really dig that they are keeping up with the tension of the moment in these chapters. I really like this arc and where it is going, and I am curious to see how it all fights with the warlocks are going to take place. Great chapter. Yes, it is finally over. It is over. The bad storyline is over. Oh, plus Kyo is going for it with Ayame. Oh, yes. All is forgiven, Sensei. All is good. We are happy. We are good. Yeah, so Hina is burying her feelings forever, and they can go back to being friends that both I and Taiki can respect again. Chinatsu shows up at the end. Kyo and Ayame are going on a date too, to the amusement park, because he's, it's the old, I got these tickets, these free tickets out of nowhere. I need you to use them. It's the thing that always happens everywhere. This chapter is basically like if you asked me everything that I wanted, all mushed into one chapter and handed it to me on a beautiful plate. I love it. I love it so much. Though, taking just a moment of reflection now after I've read this chapter, it definitely seems like the series is going to be ending soon. Obviously, this isn't an axe situation. I mean, the series has been going on for over 200 chapters. So if this series were to end, it is ending because the mangaka wants it to end. And if the mangaka wants the series to conclude soon, which I'm kind of getting the vibes that this is where it's headed, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with an author deciding that they want to end a series because they feel like a series should end. I think that's how series should end, even if it's a series that I like. And I have generally liked Blue Box very much throughout most of its runtime. But if Sensei thinks that this series should end it. I'm fine with that. The stealth mission has failed, and now Yodaka has advanced to beat up all of the soldiers that rush in at the part of the video game whenever you fail the stealth mission. The rest of Squad 9 looks for evidence of wrongdoing, as they're going to use Yodaka as a distraction technique by basically bringing all the ninjas to them so they can go, do the stealth part. However, Yodaka is being so conspicuous that Squad 7 ninjas realize what the plan is, and they go and find the rest of Squad 9. This means that Yodaka has to quickly switch jobs and do what he's not great at doing, which is not fighting, because he was able to beat all the ninjas that came to him because, he's just a boss. Also, the Uzen family's dad is doing the most aggressive bonsai pruning that I have ever seen. Fun and great chapter this week with some really cool action panels and just funny moments. Once again, had a lot of fun with it this week. Yuji is here to aura farm and just destroy everyone around him. Seems like Aoi Todo is alive still somewhere. Again, Easter eggs galore. Yuji also uses one of Sukuna's moves, so that's fun. Yeah, so the fight with Dabura and Maharaga is going on, and the one with Maru and Tsurugi is still going on as well. And Tsurugi is using the help of Rika to dominate the fight, and it looks like he may have won it in the end, or will be winning the fight at the end, as there's blood that splatters up onto a no U-turn sign. You know, I don't know if I'm just a JJK hater or not. I think that the spin-off series has been generally good. I can't seem to get myself to really fall in love with this or just be super interested in it. The art is great. The fighting is great. It is. Maybe I just don't care about anyone in it. Maybe that's it. The characters just don't give me any sort of feelings about them. I don't care about them. They're just there. And they're kind of just blocks that you can smash together or just have cool things that they're able to do during the fight to each other. You know, I'm probably gonna rate this chapter and this series lower than anyone else who would be reading the magazine, but hey, I mean, it's my rankings and I can do what I want. Maybe I'm a JJK hater. It's not bad. Like, it's really not bad. For some reason, I read it and I don't care. Like, I just don't care. It's my problem, I guess. Mame and Mizuo are back to their one-liner shtick and putting in responses for the one-liner part of the radio show. The prompt this week was an unfortunate flaw for an all-too-perfect idol, and Mizuo spends the day following Mame around as he tries really hard to be perfect all of the time. It appears like he is perfect, but he is actually working really hard to do the best that he can. There is some cute moments between the two of them, and they both get one of their responses read on the show. But we don't get to hear Mizuo's response because Mame was just shouting too loud and just shouted down her response. And I wonder if potentially her response was like a reference to him. I thought that could have been cute if that was possible, but maybe not. A fun chapter this week. Always loved spending time with these two goofballs. Hitsugi has arrived on the scene, and the comments in the last chapter reminded me that his technique uses holy water, which would be bad for the copycat to copy. Yeah, I definitely forgot that, but anyway. Kiyoshi is also almost done with his nap, and Tosaka is busy keeping the community safe. Gas Mask Lady shows up as well as a cat who's a big bad demon, apparently. In fact, he was the very demon that killed Tosaka's friend, so he's really pissed. The cat loves the thought of that, though, and we're treated to some very creepy panels of him really enjoying the fact that he's pissing off Tosaka. But Cook the chicken is here to snap some sense into him, and he remembers he just needs to be the neighborhood watch this time and not Superman. And the fight will continue the next chapter. Fun chapter with some very creepy panels. Solid. Tenichi is over at Himari's place for a home date, and the president of Himari's fan club, the unofficial fan club, I don't think there really is one, maybe there is, I don't remember, is over to be the buffer between the two of them, or third wheel, depending on how you want to look at it. They play definitely not Mario Kart for copyright reasons, and Himari cooks a meal for Tenichi. It is good because she's been practicing all night to make it well. She then decides to push her advantage and request that they go to a shrine together for New Year's to continue the date on. I totally forgot what time it was in this universe, but yeah, makes sense given the general time frame that they're in right now. Himari is going all out in how she is dressed. Iamori probably isn't aware of that or noting it at all, but she's clearly trying very hard to look cute, even though she's at home and could ostensibly be relaxing. Fine chapter. A whole lot of yelling about nothing, but, it wasn't that bad. Osoegawa and the heroine have infiltrated the middle school as teachers and each get up to their hijinks, showing off their ineptitude or hidden abilities, as the case may be, to everyone. But both of them tip off the mages who are inside the school, who come out to fight them at the end of the chapter, which was probably what they wanted to do anyway. I do appreciate that the use of magic is getting a little bit better or a little bit more creative, but everything that I said last week still holds true. The characters do feel pretty flat because they are just holding the same face for most of the chapter. Either that or they are making their one other designated face. Tiny heads too. Still tiny heads. It's fine, I guess. Too good for drop watch, not good enough to be good. Haiji's stuck in a tree and sleeping when we meet her manager, who picks him up in a helicopter. She was able to smooth everything out with the plane, which landed safely, but Haiji discovers that he will have to cover up all of the costs for that cover-up. We clearly see this as one of the reasons he is wrapped up in all of this as a doctor of the underworld. He goes to fill a request sent by someone from public safety who was made during an undercover operation, and the manager reveals that she's an Oshimori, supposed mediators of the underworld. Some thugs come to take out the detective, who says that our heroes should run away, but the doctors pull out some of his aggressive pressure point maneuvers to take down the assailants. The detective thinks of his family, and our doctor takes care of him. We end with Haiji checking on him in the hospital. Another really good chapter this week. If it keeps going like this, I'm going to really like this series. They may have another winner on their hands. We have another new series this week, with Harukaze Mound ending last week, and that is Kinato's Magic. Kinato's Magic is about a mage, wow, there are a lot of those these days, who uses his magic as an all-purpose healer. So really going right up against Underdoctor, aren't you? Okay. Anyway, he's joined in the cast by the most JK person I have ever seen in a fantasy setting. I mean, do they even have a high school? I guess they do. That's where she's coming from. She's short for money, or at least just a bully, but either way, she brings a dead plant from one of the guests from the hotel, which he heals, so it's good as new. I guess the hotel has uniforms that look exactly like high school uniforms in Japan. Then some adventurers come into town and try to recruit Kinato, but all he can do is Seitei healing. I'm going to have to learn what that means, won't I? A quick Google makes me think it's something like standard medicine. I'll just consider it basic medicine, like urgent care. The adventurers ask for Kinato to join them on a quest to slay a dragon, as even they would benefit from having his abilities. They honestly don't seem like bad guys and go against the typical isekai I was banished because my skill was crap, but it's actually OP trope. Grandma gives him the push to head out, so he meets them at the gate. And it's gone. They were actually bad and selling him into slavery, so that's nice. He gets thrown into a cell with a captain of a real adventuring squad who is eating grass. He was captured by a honeypot trick with a bunny girl and a sleeping potion, which I get, my guy. Anyway, the Seitei magic comes in handy because it can overwhelm the magic of the magic rope, and they are freed. The captain adventurer starts beating the crap out of everybody, and then an actual dragon does in fact show up. Jane, I guess that's how you pronounce it. The captain begins fighting, but it's good boy Kinato who joins in as well, and he creates a ball that he uses to actually take out the dragon. Jane convinces Kinato to join him as an adventurer, and Grandma gives the okay for him to head out. Plus, the JK girl Lene is coming too. Very nice first chapter. I like Kinato, and I like Jane. I think that Lene just being a straight-up high school girl for no reason at all is a little ridiculous, but I'll let that slide for now. The art is pretty good too. Happy to keep up with the series, and I think it could be a fine addition to the magazine. Let's see where it goes from here. Let's do a brief eulogy for Harukaze Mound. I will not claim to be an expert on this series since I dropped it rather quickly. Actually, it's probably more accurate to say that I never really picked it up. The first chapter did not leave me with a strong impression. It didn't leave me with much of an impression at all, so I ended up not continuing it after the first chapter. I recognize now that this really isn't fair, and if I had been doing this review series at the time, I would have stuck it out a bit longer. This very week, I had planned on starting to catch back up to the series when I found out that it had ended last week. I looked through the chapter previews and I read the final chapter, and I could see that the art at least had some promise. I think one thing that it suffered from for me is that it came out during the baseball season, the American baseball season, and at that time, I just had more interest in watching actual baseball as a baseball fan. Again, definitely a me thing, I will admit. I'm a baseball fan, so it should have been up my alley, but I was watching actual baseball. In lieu of whatever attempt I could make at giving overall thoughts for the series, I'll just summarize what I saw in the comments of the last chapter about the series. It seems like there was a general consensus that the art was good, and that the story was good despite it being meandering at times. And I think that one of the things that was mentioned was that was a real reason why they think or at least some of them thought that the series ended, was that it was kind of unfocused on what should have been the real, point of the series. Apparently, the twins that the story was written about weren't as much of the focus of the story as they could have been, and that let people down at the end of the day. So who knows whether I would have liked it or if I would have caught up to the manga in time, but it seems like there was some promise that the series didn't live up to. Oh well. That's it for this week. I am going to put the rankings above my head now. I'll be honest, I really struggled with where to put some of these rankings this week. I think that a lot of the chapters were very high quality, and even going into the chapters that are above 10 in the rankings are chapters that I definitely enjoyed. I think that each of the two newbies have some potential, though I do think that Underdoctor is the better of the two. Sometimes a new series just irks me from the first chapter, and it is definitely not true with these two. Let's see where they go from here. I've also made quite a lot of progress with the Elusive Samurai. I have passed the point where I initially dropped it. I'm around chapter 18 right now, and I'm going to keep pushing forward as I realize now I definitely should not have dropped it the first time. I think that the general weirdness and the supernatural nature of it threw me off the first time, but I don't mind it as much anymore. Let's see if I can muscle my way back to being current with the series, with the weeklies of the series before it comes to an end. 200 plus chapters is a lot, and not to say it's going to be axed just because there's too many chapters at this point, but if, like with Blue Box, if the series creator decides that they kind of are ready for it to end, maybe I'm not going to make it fast enough, but we'll see. Thank you all for watching this week. I'll bring back the Jump Plus Spotlight next week. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks.